So most businesses will never actually really scale. And it actually has nothing to do with their offer, nothing to do with their ads or content or anything like that. All of those things can actually be really good, and they can still struggle to scale if they make this one mistake that I'm going to talk about in this video. And if you avoid this mistake, then you can scale way easier, okay? And also with way less stress and with predictability. So the TLDR of this video, and I'm going to give it to you right away, is that the business who can spend the most money to acquire a customer wins. Okay? So I'm going to break down what that actually entails and why it's so important, because this is something that not a lot of people actually talk about because it's pretty unsexy, but it is genuinely the key to building a real scalable business, but also one where you're not always stressing over sales or not knowing where the next client or the next sale is going to come from, etc. And so I'm going to break it down, okay? Because I see a lot of businesses, and for the clients that I've worked with in the past, they are always trying to be profitable on the front end. Okay, so let's say they have like a $47 product or something that they use for acquisition, but they're trying to be profitable. So their cost per sale, they're trying to make it lower than the actual product. And maybe they have order bumps and like an immediate upsell or something just to get AOV, but they're still trying to be profitable. And what happens as a result is that you'll just have way less scale and also more inconsistent revenue if that is your plan. Because the way, especially if you're running ads, but this sort of concept can also apply to, let's say, content marketing if you're doing organic, and I'm going to explain how. But if you're running ads, then essentially how ads work, especially with like Meta, I'm not an expert on all ad platforms, but it is a bidding war. Okay, so the person who can spend the most money will in general win. Okay, and so if you are trying to constrain yourself, like your budget, then you will lose against someone who is willing to spend double the amount as you to acquire a customer. Like, you will lose. Okay, and the difference between you and that person who can spend twice as much is simply the back end of the business. Okay, a lot of people focus so much on getting new customers, getting new leads. They're posting all the time on social media, hustling for new buyers, new customers, etc. But they don't put as much effort into actually ascending those buyers into other programs, hopefully higher ticket programs, or they just don't have any high ticket programs, which is disaster if you ask me. Because especially with ads or just content overall, you will not have a consistent performance. That's just how it works. Your revenue will go up and down, up and down, up and down. And I've seen a lot of people who have, let's say, a low ticket offer, like a little course or something that sure is generating a lot of customers, but it's not going to be like that forever, and the ads are not going to perform well at all times. Sometimes you may even have to pause the ads for a long period of time because you've like fatigued the offer. So you can have thousands of customers, thousands, and still have a crappy business with no significant revenue. And that's because you're not actually either ascending these buyers, or you don't just have any other offers to ascend them to. Either way, it's a recipe for disaster. Okay? If you have a good backend with mid-ticket products or like high-ticket products, then if you run the numbers as to like how much a buyer is worth, how much a lead is worth, etc., then it's really easy and way less stressful to just do content or run ads, because you know exactly how much that buyer is actually worth. And so I'll just give you an example. A couple of months ago, I helped some of my mentors run ads to one of their products, a low ticket offer. It was a €7 ebook. Most businesses would try to actually make a profit off of that. And even if they have an order bump or an immediate upsell, they'll still try to make a profit. But my mentors had a good backend system and they were really good at it, which allowed us to spend about €25 to acquire a €7 buyer. So that's like almost 4 times as much as the product costs. Now imagine if we had a competitor who sells a similar offer at a similar price point and they are trying to get buyers for like €10. They are going to lose. Like they're going to lose, because we can spend more money, we can advertise longer without losing money. And like at that time, when we spent that €25, we were breaking even. We're not even losing money on the front end, which you can do if you have a good back end, right? And you can scale even more. And we would have also done that, but we just couldn't for several reasons that I'm not going to get into now, which might be another video, but whatever. Someone spending less money than us will just lose. That's just how it is, okay? And if you are doing, let's say, content marketing, you're only doing organic, if you're just hustling for new lower ticket buyers, or it could even be, and when I say low ticket, I mean like offers between like $1 and like $200. If you're just hustling for those buyers on social media and stuff, you'll never have an actual predictable business with consistent revenue, because again, your content will go like this all the time, and it will be like that unless you are actually ascending those buyers and you have a system for turning buyers into repeat buyers, right? And once you do that, then you can run the numbers on how much a buyer is worth, how much a lead is worth. And so when you generate, let's say, a $27 buyer, you can see that they are actually not worth $27, they're worth $200, right? So when you generate your next 3 $27 buyers, you can, instead of telling yourself, oh, I only generated 3 sales or whatever, like I need to push more content, I need to do more, you can say, well, I made $600 now, right? Way less stressful, way more predictable, but it requires systems, and it requires knowing your numbers. And numbers is not something that people want to talk about, but hopefully you see now like why it's so important and why a backend is so important. So that's going to be it for this video. If you want to check out my socials down below, you can do that. Or if you want to work with me, then you can do that too by, I don't know, DMing me. Bye.